how you do anything is how you do everything. I can tell by the person what kind of worker he is. Like, give someone a broom and you will see.
How good did he sweep the floor? No, you're right.
Exactly. Like, is he's going to hit every corner? I just admire hard workers so much. When I go to the restaurant and I see the waitress doing, like, how they clean the table tells you everything about it. Like, some of them will come in with a wet rag, like it's too wet, and they do 3 swipes. It's not, and some of them will come and they'll polish that in front of you.
You bet.
And when you admire someone's work, you also want, no matter what you do, you want to be the best at it. Like, if you admire Michael Jordan, you have to be Michael Jordan elsewhere. Like, I admire those stories. Like, when you hear how they train, we have this society now when people declare the war on hours we put in. Everybody's like, oh, you can't work more than 40 hours. I would argue you have to put 50, 60, 70 hours a week if you want to be good at something.
Tradesmen built America. Not policymakers or desk jockeys, but hardworking, blue-collared men and women. Join me, Roger Wakefield, on conversations with some of the nation's most successful skilled laborers. This is the Trade Talks. So how many people in the roofing industry have you just really pissed off?
20, 30, like on a high level.
At a very high level.
Like to the point where they want to physically fight me or make threats to me, like I'll show up at your house, some kind of online threats that they're going to do something to me, probably 20, 30.
All in the Minnesota area?
No, all over the country.
All over the country.
I have a lot of bad players. I call them out, and some people think they're tough. And when you go after someone, they want to, when they're in a defensive mode, they want to attack.
And a lot of big companies, you've called them out for not doing what they're supposed to do, not doing what they say they're doing.
Exactly. It's a very old school industry, but there are a lot of old school people who were not ready for the internet. We're not ready for YouTuber in a space. We're not ready for reviews. They operate like mafia operated in 70s, 80s. You cannot talk bad about them. Who are you to review our product, pretty much? And they were not ready. They had big marketing budgets, and they thought that people only will hear about their products from them, what they have to say. And we have a lot of bias, like, testing third parties. They were controlling everything. So now roofers start speaking up about quality problems, like myself. And I've had 7, 8 cease and desist letters from multi-billion-dollar companies.
Yeah.
I have one right now, kind of active, 3 months ago, $50 billion company. And I'm like, bring it on. And when I received those letters, I immediately make a YouTube video. I'm like, hey, I got this letter. Here's what's going to happen. And actually, a lawyer who sent it to me, he's no longer with that firm. But they're still actively, they're not going to take cease and desist letter back.
Right.
I talked to my lawyer about it. Once it's out, but it hurt them. And I talked to a lot of roofers. They're like, their sales reps for that particular corporation is one of the biggest one, $50 billion company. They said, we don't like it. It's not good for us. Like, it's not good for us to threat that guy, because now we'll all look bad. How do we undo it?
And there's not a way. Once the threat's out there, it's done. It's said. Mm-hmm. So what made you get into roofing? Why roofing?
My first business was flooring business in 2011. Before that, I was working for a general contractor. He filed bankruptcy, and I said, I'll never work for anyone else. Started flooring in Atlanta, Georgia. My wife is from Minnesota. 2013, I had to move back to Minnesota. Her mom had cancer. It was just family stuff. So I'm selling my flooring business and moving back to Minnesota. It's actually where I started. I was working there for almost a year back in 2007 doing a siding, working for my good friend. And as I'm making the move, I realized the states are so far, like nobody knows me. Like, I made my name. I have a clientele in Atlanta, but I wouldn't be able to gain anything, like even as far as like website goes. It's a completely different market. Mm-hmm. So no matter what I would do, I would start from scratch. And I asked myself, do I want to be in the flooring business or something else? And at that point, I did not care what to do. For me, it's demand. If I go to Arizona right now and there is a demand for pool companies, I'll open pool company or HVAC. So business by trade by itself does not matter. Business principles are all the same. So I called all my friends and I said, if you would start a business today, what would you do? And here's the truth. If you ask any builder or offer builder, remodeler, anybody in construction, offer him a roofing job, they will take it. Nobody going to turn down a roofing job because it's fast. Jobs are one-day job. You just subcontract, find the labor, find the materials. It's profitable. So every builder wants to be a roofer. Every remodeler wants to be a roofer. It's easy trade to make money, but there's a lot of components if you want to scale it and just build business, So when I called my buddies, they're like, roofing, money's in the roofing. Everyone I talked to was pointing in the roofing, but the roofing is competitive. So I'm like, I have my answer. So I started a roofing company in 2013. I sold it in 2020. We've been in business for 7 years. When I went in it, it's the only trade I did not do full time. I've hung drywall, I've done painting, I worked for a year and a half in a cabinet shop, I've installed insulation, I've hung siding for 6 months, but roofing is the only one I didn't do every day, like working for someone. Funny enough, that became my biggest business. Because again, business and trade, they're a little bit different. And I was building a business, I was not building a trade. I've installed my first couple jobs, flat roofs, I learned the trade. But I was running a company, so that's why roofing. It's just everything was pointing to it. I did $900,000 first year in business, then 1.3, 2.5, 3.9, and then at the end we were like $4 or $5 million company.
Tell everybody who you are and what you do.
My name is Dmitry Lipinski. I'm ex-contractor. I was a roofing contractor for 7 years. Before that, flooring contractor. Today, I'm a content creator. I have 5 businesses. 3 of them related to online video. I have online school for roofers. I have over 450 students in it. So I have done 450 videos. So I teach contractors how to market, advertise. And I have most popular YouTube channel in the roofing industry called Roofing Insights. I'm also a consumer advocate. I call out bad players. I help homeowners to find good contractors. And I'm a founder of Directorii, a platform that connects homeowners and contractors. And I back up my recommendation with my own money, $20,000. So if I recommend a contractor to the homeowner, we're like pretty much building new Angie's List, what it used to be. I love the Angie's List, and it was devastating when when we lost it as we know it. So I said, what it will take to build it. So that's why I sold my roofing business, and now my biggest inspiration is Directorii.com. But I always say that roofing for me is what books used to be for Jeff Bezos and Amazon. It's my first category that I understand, that I like, and now we do other trades, but roofing is the biggest category in Directorii.
How hard was it to move to Minnesota and start a roofing company?
It was very hard. At that time, I had 4 kids. My 4th one she was brand new, 1 month old. As a matter of fact, even drive was hard. So we have a minivan. We were relocating in March. 2012, we have to short sale the house. Market absolutely crashed. In my neighborhood in Atlanta, 6 months prior me selling the house, 6 houses were sold for 50, 60 grand. That's like 1 acre big. So we bought a house for like 120. And at the end, I short sale for like $50,000. Crazy looking back. But short sale the house, pretty much I have $2,000 to my name after I sold my company, pay a little debt that we have, credit cards. My wife did not work. We have 4 kids already. Now I have a brand new kid. Moved to my in-laws in their basement. I have 1 month old, and I have a book to pass the contractor test to become a roofer in Minnesota. Took me about 2-3 months to do that. It was, I don't want to say it was hard. It was challenging, just humble beginnings. I started over 3 times, and that was the 3rd time. Like in 2005, I moved to the United States. I was sleeping in the car, nothing. Then 2007, got married. 5 years later, have 4 kids, starting over again. I have that immigrant mentality, burn the ships, past is past. Once you move on to the next, there's no
Don't
way
look
back.
back.
There's no plan B. If you have plan B, plan A is not going to happen. And within 3 months, I have 2 employees, I have warehouse, I have 50, 60 reviews on Angie's List. I was hustling like crazy, doing a lot of repairs, a lot of gutter work. Gutters was the only category I didn't have to have license. So it took me 3-4 months to get license. Online, I looked like a gutter contractor because I was fixing gutters, cleaning gutters. It was the easiest cash I could find. It's so easy to make $1 in trades if you're willing to work. I remember I was fixing gutters at that time, like $100, $150 coming home. Like, it's easy to make $1,500 per week if you're working with the hands, even if you're brand new, even if you just started a company first couple of weeks. And then it gets easier from there. But for me, it was, I still did floors on the weekends because that's what I knew. So Monday through Thursday, I would study, do some gutter work. And then Friday, Saturday, I would find a flooring job because I was so efficient at floors. I could make $1,000 every Friday, Saturday. So like those 2 days, I make $1,000. And first 4 days, I remember my wife was asking me, so you're not working this week? Because Monday through Thursday, I was studying to become a contractor. I was like, babe, I need to get this roofing license. And Friday and Saturday, I was doing floors, getting $1,000. So we needed $1,000 per week. And I was making them in 2 days. And 4 days, I was studying for my license. It took me a couple months, and then past is history.
So the trades. And, I talk to all kinds of different trades, and I love that. Did you go to college? Was college the route for you when you were growing up, or?
I'm a teacher by trade. So I have 3 years of college, supposed to be teaching kids in Russian schools and I guess American students. So you have basic, math and literature and stuff. And then you can be a music teacher. So I'm a theater teacher. It actually helps me with YouTube tremendously. So
absolutely.
For 3 years, I studied theater. So I was on stage a lot. And I can take like 20, 30 kids and do like a Romeo and Juliet on the stage. So that's my profession. For 3 years, I studied. I understand how Hollywood works. I understand, how they make movies, how they it helped me tremendously in life. Steve Jobs says that you cannot connect the dots looking forward, but only looking back. If you look at his life and, you can connect the dots. Like that helped me. But at that time, maybe it did not make sense. Then after college, I went to university. My major was in history. Now I wanted to be a history teacher. And then after second year of university, I moved to the United States. And unfortunately here, I couldn't, my dream always was to teach. Like ever since I was a teenage boy, I'm from Siberia, and I wanted to get out of Siberia, but I wanted to be a teacher. And in the United States, as an immigrant, I could not see my way to school because you have to change your education. It's a process. So construction was the easiest. But my sisters in Russia actually became teachers, and I often joke that I have more students now in the United States. I mean, as a roofer, in my online roofing school, it's actually called roofing school. I have 450 students. So I became a teacher.
Isn't
Still
that great?
do it. It is. And this, I love Arnold Schwarzenegger and his mentality, and he's saying is, only in America, you can become a governor if you're from immigrant.
You bet.
You can become Hollywood actor. You can do anything you want. I wanted to be a teacher. Now I'm a teacher. Anything you want in this country is possible. I mean, there's ways to get there. Sometimes you have to start as a side hustle, but you can do anything you want to do.
Yeah, and I like you said that, and I thought of it a while ago when you said, look, if you've got a plan A, you don't have a plan B. There is not one. Because if you're spending time on plan B, plan A ain't that good. And one thing I tell people, people talk to me about getting in the trades all the time. And it's like, well, I can't take a pay cut. And I understand if you're going to become a plumber, an HVAC tech, or an electrician, you're going to have to start out as an apprentice. You're going to have to learn. You're going to have to grow into it. You've got to spend so many hours to get the licenses and everything that it takes. So I completely understand that. But when I was young, I had a new baby. You met Randy a while ago. And I knew I couldn't make enough money just plumbing. So I tended bar at night, learned how to tend bar, and had a couple of nights a week that I'd tend bar. Friday and Saturdays, I would build fences or redwood decks. And because no license required, get out and do it. I worked with other people, learned how to do it, and got really good at it. And I think that helped me later because I understood, look, you can do whatever you want to do if you'll work for it, if you're willing to work for it.
100%.
How hard was it to go from the mindset of a teacher or a student to become a teacher to coming over here and getting a job in construction?
I like to work with my hands. I did not know it at the time. My grandmother was living in a village. So a lot of hard work. Every summer for 3 months I spent, I was the only man in the house. They didn't have, I didn't have uncles. They didn't have husbands and stuff. So I lived with 3 women, taking care of the household, building fences, fixing the roof. So I was a very handy man. Where I come from, we don't hire people. If you need to change the window, I actually built our fence when I was a teenager. So I love working with my hands. I just did not know that it's going to be my profession. And honestly, when I came here, I worked for a little bit over a year in a cabinet shop. One of the best jobs I have. I mean, job is a job. When you're a man, you have to provide for the family. Our mentality is, I'm oldest of 7 kids. I've never seen my mom work. My dad always was working, providing for us. And I grew up in it. I'm not against women working, but for me, I cannot see my wife. We have 5 kids now, to even think about she's going to go to work. She might. She's in college now. She wants to be a psychologist or therapist.
That's just to work with you.
Yeah.
That's all it is. She's just trying to figure you out, brother.
Good one. So, but for me, it's men have to do what you have to do. Mm-hmm. I could become a truck driver. I'm happy that I'm not. I cannot see that lifestyle.
Yeah, it's hard getting you in here on a Saturday because you're like, Roger, look, I spend a lot of time with my family, and I love that.
Exactly. So it wasn't hard. As a matter of fact, I did not know. I never could imagine that I can become a business owner. If my boss would not file bankruptcy, I've never been fired. I have over 10 jobs. I've never been fired. I always was the best of the best. I remember working for that guy, and one day he lined us up and he's like, "You 4 idiots costing me money. Dmitry makes me money," and he put me in charge because we have common sense. I have to figure out, if you leave me in this room and tell me fix these floors, I will figure it out.
You bet.
I'm not going to complain. I'm not going to waste time. I was so efficient. When I showed up at a job, for me, everything happens before, 80% of the job happens before noon. After noon, I know my body. It's going to slow down. You finish.
You and me both.
You're catching up after noon. If you're not efficient before 12, you're not going to get it done. I slept on the job site. So I would take a sleeping bag to finish the job in 2 days because I wanted to put 16 hours a day. And it wasn't hard. But also, I was young, in my 20s. It was I've never made that kind of money. So opportunities was there. I mean, I don't see me doing it for the rest of my life, like what I did there, but it was good school. And, I was, as an immigrant, I was learning English. I was learning culture. I was enjoying myself. I was proud. I never in 17 years took a government check. I never understood people who rely on that kind of support. I'm like, you cannot find a job. I remember back in the day, there's, ads everywhere. If you want to work, there is a work, and you can actually make decent money, but you have to work hard. And I just fell in love with it. But when my boss filed bankruptcy, I couldn't do it to my family. I remember he owed me $3,500. And it was hard at the time because he mismanaged money. And we settled, and I wish nothing bad on him. He's a good person. He tried his best. But I promised my wife I will never put myself in that position. And when I opened my company, my number one goal was just to have a paycheck every Friday. And 10 years later, I never missed. As a matter of fact, when we started the business in 2013, I was paying myself $1,000 a week. And I never did more than $100 per week raise So if my wife says we need more money, it's $1,100, then $1,200, then $1,400. So in 7 years, I grew my salary from $1,000 per week to like, I want to say $2,500. So it took me 7 years, and I could afford it. I bought a nice house at the end, but I could have $300,000 in my account and still pay myself, like, let's say $2,200.
Right.
Like for me, that's stability. That every Friday I have a paycheck. I pay my employees and I pay myself. I build a business to have a paycheck on Fridays, to have a stability for my family. I have 5 kids and all of them are in private school now. So to this day, I live on 20% of my income. I invest 80%. So today I have 5 businesses. I have 5 kids. I take home, and I'm transparent about it, 150, 160,000. When people talk about money and they need like 300,000, 500, I'm like, on what?
Yeah, I had that conversation with somebody the other day. My goal is and I know my 5-year goal, and I know how much money I want in the bank, because I want to know I can live on that, just the money in the bank, never have to touch it, live on the interest, travel around the country and help trade schools, walk into trade schools, talk to young kids, and then even have enough money that I can bring tools in and say, hey, these are for y'all. And I know what I want to do. I want to help tradespeople forever. So I'm like, look, when I hit my goal in 5 years, I can literally stop doing whatever I'm doing if I want to. Will you ever slow down and retire?
I know I want to retire when I'm 50. I'm going to give 10 years to build this tech company. And when I'm 50, I want to retire from being active CEO. I don't think I can ever retire.
Yeah, see me either.
I'm probably going to do some public speaking, some gigs, probably being on the board somewhere. I'm going to be active, but I don't think I'll retire.
And that's how I look at it. That's why I know how much I want put up so I can do what I want to do. I can work for me, travel around the country and help kids. Okay, I'm good with that. And what I'm doing now will help me get there. So you made a comment a while ago about your boss looked at you and said, look, you 4 cost me money. Dmitry makes me money. And you said, look, I always wanted to be the best of the best. What mindset? Because when I teach people about getting in the trades, I don't teach them how to join pipe, pull wire, hammer shingles, nothing. I teach them to become the very best. Learn leadership, learn management, learn communication, learn things, learn soft skills that are going to set you apart, learn personalities. Teaching somebody to be the best, I think it can be done. I think that there's a way to show somebody why. What made you want to always be the best of the best?
You want to understand someone, you go all the way to their beginnings. I'm oldest of 7. I'm a caregiver. I have to take care of my, family and stuff. It just, I have competitive nature. Like in anything I do, I have to be number one, is the drive. But I would also say how you do anything is how you do everything. I can tell by the person what kind of worker he is. Like give someone a broom and you will see.
How good did he sweep the floor? You're right.
Exactly. Like is he's going to hit every corner? I just admire hard workers so much. When I go to the restaurant and I see the waitress doing like how they clean the table, tells you everything about it. Like some of them will come in with a wet rag, like it's too wet, and they do 3 swipes. It's not, and some of them will come and they'll polish that in front of you.
You bet.
And when you admire someone's work, you also want, no matter what you do, you want to be the best at it. Like, if you admire Michael Jordan, you have to be Michael Jordan elsewhere. Like I admire those stories. Like when you hear how they train, we have this society now when people declare the war on hours we put in. Everybody's like, oh, you can't work more than 40 hours. I would argue you have to put 50, 60, 70 hours a week if you want to be good at something. And I was listening to podcast the other day, and they forgot the names, but they pretty much says like if you go on NBA game and you watch people play basketball, would you be okay if they spend 30 minutes a day practicing or a couple hours a week? No, you're not okay, because you go watch professionals. The same with the soccer, the same with any sport. What makes us best of the best is putting hours in. I'm not the most talented guy. There's way more people more talented, but I'm most consistent. I woke up 5:30 today and I'm traveling. I didn't have to, but I go to the gym. It's how you do anything. Like, I want to be the best and I want to put hours. When you're consistent with your hours, and that's, people say like work smarter, not harder. I don't think it's possible to work smarter if you're not willing to put harder. Everybody's trying to find a shortcut. I'm a guy who will always put hours, no matter what I do. You want to learn language? I'm learning Spanish right now. I'm putting hours. You want to learn YouTube? Put hours. So for me, like, I'm learning boxing now, just new and there. I'm doing boxing every day. I'm so obsessed with it. I don't want to be average. I want to be good at that.
You bet.
So, and with a job, like, I'm just impressed by, for me, hard work is what defines us and what makes human. Like, especially in interactions. If you do something for me, I want to make, like, I'm pleased when you work hard, and I like those details. You go the car dealership, immediately you spot lazy and a hard worker, attention to detail, and a person who does not care. And I want to give it to people when they interact with me. If I do podcast with you, I want you to know that I prepared and I organized my studio. If I recommend a contractor for you, I want you to know that I'm not just a middleman. I'm actually doing the work. I'm doing my research. And everything you do, you can put hours, and it always shows.
A lot of people think all they're working for is time. They're working for the weekend. They're working for the vacation. They're working for this. They're working for that. And I love that. But my thought is, look, and I put in hours. When I was building the company, when I was building YouTube, it's 7 days a week. Even on weekends, I come in, I'd study, I'd do research,
and it shows.
I'd get ideas, and man, it's like, what have I got to do to become the best? Mm-hmm. When I first started YouTube, it's like, okay, I want a good channel because I want to make the phone ring for the company. Then as I started learning, it's like, I want to be a really good channel. Matter of fact, I want to be one of the best plumbing channels. And then once I started approaching that, it's like, okay, you know what? I want to be one of the best YouTube channels. And you start looking at what everybody else is doing. How can we improve our cinematography? Can we get better cameras? Can we get better equipment? What can we do? Can I learn stage presence? What can I learn? Can I learn to speak better? Can I learn communication styles better? I love that because that's what I try to teach people these days is look, anybody can join pipe together. You get me somebody that can join pipe together and they've got a good attitude, I can work with that. You get me somebody that is amazing at joining pipe together, but their attitude sucks, I don't want them. Because everybody's attitude sucks then. Mm-hmm. Seth Godin, the dip. Mm-hmm. If you're not trying to be the best, why not? The things that you said about Michael Jordan when you first started talking about being the best, Kobe Bryant. Kobe Bryant would stay at where it is the Lakers play at till like 3 a.m. after a bad game. He's like, no, I'm staying. It would be Kobe, his manager, and the lights on the court, and that's it. And they shut it up when they left. And you look at him always trying to be the best. And I like what you said that. If Kobe was just out there 30 minutes a day, do you really think he'd have been as good as he was? Not a chance. And then you mentioned soccer, and I'm not a big soccer fan, but Messier, played in Dallas here a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
It was the hardest ticket in town to get, and I knew who he was. Who's the second best player on the team? I have no idea. Who's the second best player in the league? I have no idea. That's what you do to separate yourself from everybody else. Like you said, you were never fired. When I talk about the union, people come to me and I say, well, I like the union, but they lay off a lot. They send you home a lot. And it's like, you know what? In 24 years in the union, I didn't get laid off. I didn't get sent home. But when you're the best, if I've got 3 people standing here and you make me money and they don't, guess who's staying on the job the longest? And that's what I try to explain to people. So to take that mindset, when you opened your own business as a tradesperson, and I've studied under Michael Gerber. He used to be a coach of mine, the E-Myth books.
Mm-hmm. I love.
Yeah, fantastic. What didn't you know that you wish you'd have known when you started your own company?
It's very easy to mismanage money. I wish I knew how to sell a little bit earlier. I was on the cheaper side. Tradesmen have this mentality, especially younger guys. We want to be the cheaper. We want to give everybody a good deal. And I was never a cheapest guy. I was reasonably priced, but I learned later, like when I started looking at the numbers games, like 1 year I hired a very good coach and we did math. At that time, we were doing about $4 million. And we have 1,600 leads. We just did the math. If my closing rate was 10% higher, we almost doubled our sales. And if increasing your sales level, it would be an $8 million company, not $4 million company. And at that point, I could clearly see it. So if I would hire that coach 2 years prior, at that time, I would be, double the profit, double the size. So learning how to sell, hiring mentors earlier, that was what I think missed at that time, because I was doing great. Like when you grown 40% every year, you think you figured it out, everything is growing, you're fine. But when I started going to conferences, when I started going to expos, that's actually where, like when I hire a mentor, we went from 1.3 to 2.5 right away, and then from 2.5 to 3.9. Profit was not there yet, but now I see what very profitable companies are doing. You can't be Mercedes-Benz, you can't charge a lot, and that's your presentation. It's not exactly the quality of the work. It's expected, and you should do quality of the work, but it's how you sell. That's what I didn't know. I knew how to market myself. YouTube leads, that was not a problem, but that was my weakest link per se. I mean, closing rate was good, but I was nice guys. And I see a lot of guys in trades, they're too nice and they don't understand the psychology of presenting themselves and closing a deal, asking for a sale. And I'm not talking about hard pressure, but just that one thing, asking for the sale. I've never done it. Like, here's my estimate, call me. That was me.
Right.
And then later,
I'll leave it up to you. I'm not going to push you.
Exactly. And later, just like one of the phrases, Rodney Webb was my coach. He taught me this closing light. Other than price or payment would be there any reasons we're going to start your project today? No, it comes down to the price. Okay, I promised you I'm going to take care of you. And now you just go for it. And I think it's our insecurity. I don't know what it is. Like, man, we hate the competition who is charging people more money. We think that they ripping people off. And I did not think that. I did not care what my competition is doing, but we have that mentality. Like that you cannot ask for it. People will choose you. I see roofers do it all the time. They like, oh, I don't need to advertise. My work speaks for itself. I'm like, really? Your work speaks for itself? What's the last time you talked to your neighbor? Nobody's talking to anyone anymore. Everybody's on their phones 24/7. And especially in the roofing business, what's the last time you've seen a homeowner on the roof? They don't care. Wake up. They don't care about quality of your roof. They don't know what quality means. They don't know the language. They don't know the brands. We're delusional. Yeah. We are delusional. And when you realize it, so that was like, I know it now. And I teach people, like, I want people to wake up. When I travel on consulting deals, I tell my kids all the time, like, because I want my kids to know what I do. And they're like, Daddy, where are you going? It's like, and I remember explaining to them, how we have a storm group, we're successful, we're good. But the other man, they also have families and their business struggling. They don't know how to make money. So Daddy's going to fly. He's going to teach this man. And I always share their stories. And I have a lot of people coming to our business, to our house. I would introduce them to my kids because I take my time from my family to consult with someone. And then when we do class or people fly to my studio, just like I came to you, I would bring them home. It's like, hey guys, remember that trip in Orlando? Well, I was visiting Tony. He's here now. And Tony would say like, hey guys, thank you for letting your dad come to me. He helped us a lot. So you have to be transparent about what you do with the kids. But for me, it was the biggest lesson, how to ask for a sale how to sell yourself with a profit. It's not what you're worth. It's can you sell yourself with a profit?
I think a lot of tradespeople, you say that they want to be the cheapest. And I hear that when people are opening their own companies. They're like, look, I'm going to be the cheapest guy in town. It's like, why? And I mean, did you grow up wanting to be the cheapest guy in town? And I always ask them that. And they're like, well, no. Well, then why are you going that route now? I made a video about, look, I'm not the cheapest plumber in town. Never wanted to be. And in that video, I say, look, I'm not the cheapest. I'm not the most expensive, but I'm closer to the most expensive than I am to the cheapest.
That's the sweet spot, by the way.
You bet. Because I use the best product. I use the best people. We have the best tools. We want to do it right. If you want the cheapest guy, I'll give you his number. But then when I have to come back and fix it, it's going to cost double because I got to take out what he did and do it right. And I remember going to shoot a video one time, tunneling up under a house. The homeowner stayed there and he came out. And whenever I came out from the hole, he was there. And he said, do you mind if I take just a moment and tell you why I hired you? I said, no, I would love that. Great information. He said, I watched that video you did. He said, I watched that video a lot of times. He said, and I kept thinking to myself, I don't want the cheapest guy. He said, Roger, I've always been about price. He said, but to hear you explain it that way, I was like, I don't want to hire the cheapest plumber. Mm-hmm. And you don't want the cheapest roofer.
No.
You're going to find somebody they've got to take shortcuts to try to beat that price or get it in for that price. And a lot of people don't understand that. If you were coaching somebody now to start their own roofing company, how would you tell them to price? How would you tell them to establish their price? Look for the most expensive and stay close. I mean, I think that's smart.
I think when you start, you have to, it's okay to be cheaper early on.
You're going to learn.
For the experience.
Yes.
So, because I want you to, when you start, I want you to get clientele. I want you to get as many jobs as possible. And I think it's important. I almost look at it as first year in business, it's like apprentice. It's your school, right? And treat it like that. As a matter of fact, when I came to the United States, so I quit university. It's a 5-year program. I came here after 2 years. And I told myself, I'm going to learn something, learn a trade in 3 years. And by the time, because people in my university says like, go to America, come back, graduate, and go back. I'm like, why would I do that? What this degree will do to me in America? By the time you graduate here, I'm going to have a job already. So I treat my first 3 years just like, I was making $12-13 an hour. But after 3 years, I work in a cabinet shop, I install siding, and I start working in this remodeling company. And this is how you look at your business. First year, you don't have to make money on every job. You don't have to make money on every, like in my first year.
You just got to pay your bills.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So
I get it.
So my first year, I did, here's how I did it. $900,000 in sales first year. I paid myself $60,000. We made about $140,000. So I started with the $2,000. I have Volkswagen Jetta, my first car, fully wrapped. At the end of the year, I have 3 trailers. I have a truck and I have a cargo van. So I have 6 vehicles / fleet. I have warehouse. I invested in my business and I paid myself $60,000. But I was doing $150 repairs. But here's what I did. I have 180 reviews after first year. Because when you're cheap, you get clientele fast. Word spreads around. When new store opens in town, I remember I work in Chicago, my first job. I work in the deli department. Italian store, huge place. It was my first job. We have 70, 80 people in line. It was like 10 people at the deli because they have salami for like less than $2. It was the cheapest prices. So they sent flyers to everyone. Grand opening. It was so cheap. They flooded the store. So you have to do it in the first year because you will never ever will go back to it later. You're not going to be able to sustain it, but your first customers are your best customers. I remember to this day, I have a lady, she called me off, I have this coupon on Angie's List, $99 gutter repair. Came to this job and she needed to replace downspout. She had 2x3 downspout. I said, you don't have enough water flow coming out. Volume. We're going to replace it to 3x4. It's a double the capacity. And it cost me like $50 just for aluminum. And so I made $40. Did I make money? Absolutely not. Could I charge more? Absolutely yes, but I didn't. So instead, I went to the store, came back, replaced the downspout. I probably broke even, if anything, between the gas and overhead. She gave me 5-star review. 2 years later, she needed new roof, called us, and she remembered me. She said, did you work in this house? I'm like, ma'am, I did that downspout 2 years ago. You wrote me 5-star Angie's List review. So when you starting in, you can be the cheapest, but you will raise the price in any business. So I think only first year you can and should do it, but it's your education. Instead of working for someone, instead of going to school, this is your school. This is the price you pay. But you also get paid in reviews, in early customers, in referrals. And then when that snowball start rolling, now you start increasing prices. Because I also tell people this, first year in business, don't set up a business plan or sales goal. You don't know what you don't know. You know, like you can hire 2-3 sales guys and do $3 million. Like in the roofing business, you can have hail and everybody needs roofs. You can triple. Like if you set up your goal too small, you're gonna bypass it. What's the point? If you set up too high, you're gonna be depressed. You didn't mean it.
Yep.
You don't know. But second year, wherever you did the first year, let's say you do 1.5 million, you go back. Okay, I did 1.5, not knowing anything. Now my second year goal is 2 million. Now we have numbers. Now you're in the game of improving what you already have. So close that year. Look at the repairs. Look at the numbers. Look at the items or SKUs or service that was the most profitable. Mm-hmm. Where did you make the most money, and do more of it? Now you can advertise that. You did not know what people gonna buy. And it's like that in every business. And second year, it's analyzing. First year, analyzing prices. Now you do price increase. Now you have reputation. Now you have reviews. Now you have moral and ethical right to increase the price. Now you survive. Now, I mean, 80% of roofers go out of business in the first 2 years. I'm pretty sure it's similar in plumbing or other trades. Mm-hmm. And 95% go out of business in 5 years. Yep. So you will increase the price. You don't have to be the cheapest for the rest, but first year is very special.
Similar to plumbing, 20% profit margin is what you're shooting for?
Gross profit, close to 30, 40. Net profit, 10, 15%.
In Texas, there's no license required.
No.
Okay. Most states, there's not for roofing, correct?
No. In many states, it's required. It's surprisingly that Texas, they're working on it.
One of the worst states.
Yes. They're actually trying. There's a voluntarily organization, voluntarily licenses that you can get. But no.
When I say Texas is the worst state, I don't mean because of that. It's hard to get an electrical license, a plumbing license, an HVAC license, and it requires many, many years. Somebody in Texas wakes up today and they're like, wow, you know what? I want to get in the trades, but I want to open my own business. Roofing is going to be the quickest route.
It's pretty easy, yes.
Couple,
like in Florida, I was licensed a roofer in Florida and Minnesota. She'll open for almost a year in Florida, and it took me about 6 months. In Florida, you actually have to pass 2 tests. It's you have to have license qualifier. One test is like 7 hours. Another one is like 4 hours. One is codes. Another one is financing. So Florida is the hardest to get a license. I think California is pretty hard too. Chicago, Minnesota, they all have licenses, but those are easier to pass. Couple months, 3-4 months. It's 115, 120 questions on the test. But what I like about permitting licenses, it requires a permit. So now you permit a job, you have inspectors, all of that good stuff.
A guy wakes up tomorrow morning in Texas And he's like, you know what? I want to open my own business. I want to open a roofing company. How long would it take him to learn enough to get good?
Depends on the personality and your strength. If you're good at sales, I mean, a couple of months and you can be, I see guys who, we have one guy right now, he's like 23, but he has a sales background. He worked for 3 years for another company. His company did $17 million in the first year. So he have a killer team, like 5 guys selling roofs. He also in a very good market up north and Baltimore area. So average ticket is like 20, 30,000 and up, insurance jobs, and $17 million first year, 22, 23-year-old kid. I would say that to do first million to the 1 million per year, almost anyone can do it. Close the first year, like one person, 1 million, you can do it. I mean, think about numbers. Average roof in Texas would be $10,000. Mm-hmm. If you do 2 roofs a week, it's pretty much $1 million business. 2 roofs a week is not that hard. If you like to hustle, mm-hmm. you can figure out, I mean, if you do 5 estimates per week and close 2 out of 5, you will be able to do 1 million a year. It's not that hard.
No. And get better to where you can close 3 out of 5.
Exactly.
And you're going to learn to get better.
It's truly numbers game. And then you advertise more leads, bigger team. You will figure out better branding. So I travel to Texas a lot, and I see a lot of companies doing 3-4 million, second, third year, and start being profitable. And it's very competitive market, but if you want to work, here's how you can grow super fast. Mm-hmm. I always say that hungriest kid wins. Despite the fact that roofing is competitive and trades are competitive, the person who gets the fastest to the phone wins every single time. I was getting jobs left and right from my competition because if that thing rings, I always invest in receptionist. You cannot afford not to pick up a phone. And most startups in the roofing industry don't have a lead generation problem. They complain about leads.
Yeah.
They have receptionist problems because
they think my phone will ring. They'll leave a message. I'll call them back.
Yeah, no, they won't.
But they've called 3 other companies before you ever call back, and 2 of them answered.
Yeah, you'll be surprised. Like sometimes people will do 4 or 5 calls, and only one of them will answer. So it's not that competitive if you think about it.
You bet.
People
set yourself apart.
Well, people think that they compete with 3,000 roofers. You compete with 3. They're gonna get 3 estimates. If you get there on time, you present yourself decent. It's how you walk. It's how you talk. Your job is not to screw up. The money, the check will be there. It's easy.
Yeah, the job's already paid for. It's insurance most of the time.
My business was retail. First 2 years, I did not do any insurance work.
Okay.
So I was 100% retail. I never chase it. And then I figured that insurance pays too. So I added that department. I recently have a call from California. California is wild too. So Directorii has this service where you can send us estimates and we will help you to pick a contractor. So if you got 3 estimates and you don't know who to pick, so based on the price, we'll do our research. Out of California, I have the most handwritten estimates. Sometimes there'll be 4 and every single one of them, they handwrite. I'm like, isn't California a high-tech state? But somehow, like roofers there, they're so old school. And I have this guy calls me. He was the founder of Geek Squad by Best Buy, moved to California, and he was picking my brain or something. And he's like, Dmitry, what is going on in the trades? Like, I came here, it's like, I need a drywall, concrete contractor. I called 4 companies. 3-4 days later, call again, like no one's calling me back. I mean, imagine if you're the homeowner and you're trying to reach someone and you can't even get, like, it's frustrating. So go open a concrete company and pick up a phone every time. You'll grow that almost in any market.
You bet.
Because those contractors, they don't care about customer service. They're doing you a favor by talking to you. And when you add customer service to that, or roofers the same way. I remember when I opened my company, my perception of contractor was as an immigrant, because that's how it is where I come from. In my country, if you're the builder, it's almost like you're an engineer. It's like you go to school, you're like architect. So that's my stereotype. So I came here. I'm like, I can't run a business. How can I compete with American builders, right? Little did I know.
All you had to do is answer your phone.
Like the amount of education it requires, right? And I remember within the first year, I came to this event in Chicago. It was like 150 people, 150 roofers. I took my sales rep. I've been in business 1 year at a time. And I remember around, like tattoos. This is rough crowd. I'm like, is this who we're competing with? I'm like, I can do this because I always dress nice. I always like clean, polo. It like you dress nice, you smell good, you show up on time, you answer your phone. That's how you win in this business.
That puts you ahead of 90% of the people.
Exactly.
It does. I love that.
And it's not quality of your work. I'm sorry, but it's not. And it's not what you know even. It's those little things.
But the quality's still got to be good.
It's
and
expected.
Look, you bet.
It's expected.
You bet.
But if you spend time convincing people that quality of your work is good,
if that's what your biggest sell point is, you've lost already because everybody's telling you they're good. When you first opened your company, how did you market it? How did you make your phone ring?
Everything for free. I joined Angie's List right away. Yelp, Angie's List. In Atlanta, it was Kazoo.com. Like I do my research and reverse engineer. So I'm gonna Google biggest company in town and see all the listings they have. Next door, pretty much I advertise for myself. I don't like marketers. Nobody knows your business better than you do. Hiring marketer is stupid when it comes to expectations. If you think you can pay someone to do it for you, you're losing. Like you have to be dangerous enough. You can hire someone, like hire someone to build your website. Like I built my first website. Second year, I hire someone to do it. But first year, I mean, almost anyone can build a website in 2 days. Put your information, put the best to your ability. It's fine. Like you don't need nothing fancy. Facebook, and then on the second year, I opened a YouTube channel, started a YouTube channel. I didn't have big budget to advertise. And I realized, listen, I'm going to do this YouTube. I want people to get to know me before they get to know me. And it worked. So my first success came from YouTube. And that's how my other YouTube channel was born. Because I wanted to separate the content. One is for roofers, one for the homeowners. But it worked. Doing simple reviews. I remember I did one of the most popular videos early on was who makes the best siding? James Hardy versus LP Smart Side. And it's a big battle up north. Both companies are big. So there's LP, there's James Hardy. And I was James Hardy guy. And I used to install siding. So I have a strong opinion what's better. And I'm not afraid to go online and share that opinion. And I remember coming to the homeowners like, I watched that video and I agree with you. I actually consider LP Smart Side before, but you convinced me on James Hardy. And I'm sitting there like, wow, you watched my video and you still called me? And they, even if you have a 1,000 or 2,000 views, they still have star shock. Like,
you bet.
Because they've seen you online and now they see you in person and you already want their trust. The only reason people are not going to buy from you is they don't trust you. And people think that you can fake it on camera and on social, on YouTube. You really can't.
No, you got to be you.
People read people through the screen. We all do. We all have opinion about Biden. We never met him, but we see how he talks, and
right.
Trump and politicians and TV hosts and actors. Look, we all do it. We're a good judge of characters. So when you hear contractors talk, homeowners listen to us, they see what kind of people we're. And people who will buy from you are not going to buy from me, and vice versa. We're all different. So for me is first thing which everybody should do. Put your YouTube channel, some kind of player on the first page of your website. So you're already getting traffic. People are already clicking on it. That's what I did. I built my website. So my strategy was very simple. Build my first YouTube website on Wix.com. Start YouTube channel. And I wanted to have, I just did this research that YouTube owns by Google. Google ranks websites higher that have videos. And I remember I did analytics. Alexa.com at the time was great. They took it away later, but you could see average session per website. $50 million company, number one company in my town. Their average website session was 1 minute. Mine was 3 minutes. my website was ranking so high because I have a video on every, like roofing, siding, gutters was like top 3 tabs.
You bet.
You go on the roofing, I have 7 shingles. Like, hey, this is shingle guide. I'm going to share who makes the best shingle. And then you go to siding. Here's the 3 siding products. I'm going to share it. And then when it comes to gutter covers, that was actually the most popular video. It has over 1 million views. And it was gutter guards from big box stores. And I remember like today, that day, I actually did not have a content to create. I'm like, it's August, it's leaf season, let's do it. It's just, I was so consistent. I'm like, every Wednesday, I have to do the video. I had this freelance videographer coming to me. I was like, I did not know what to do with him. But that day, I'm like, okay, you know what? We're going to go to 3 stores. Within 3 miles of my office, we have Home Depot, Menards, and Lowe's. We went to all 3 stores. I have 8 products, and all I did, I was like, okay, guys, here's what you can find in big box stores now. These 3 are garbage. Don't even bother. This sponge is the worst thing you can do. We replace them all the time. You have stuff growing from them. This micro mesh is really good. It's all it was. That video, over 1 million views. This Russian talking to, like, essentially trashing 80% of the products you can find at big box stores. But I actually had a gutter company. I separated my businesses at the time. It was Storm Group Roofing and Storm Group Gutters because I've done so much gutters and I did not want to be like a gutter company online. I'm like, I'll just open a division. $40,000 first months in sales in September. But because those videos, they were creating so much business for me.
You bet.
From the websites. I mean, I remember we were getting 200-300 visits per month to our website. I don't even know where the visits were coming from. I advertise on Craigslist, all the free stuff. But if you have 200 people on your website, you can do article for Google that no one cares, or you can do video.
And write articles on LinkedIn. There's so many places you can do stuff.
Exactly.
I remember one of my favorite videos of yours, you were testing ladders. You leaned them up and picked up weights, and you went walking up and see which one fell, folded, busted, and whatnot. So I do remember that. And that's been a while.
Yeah. That was 2018, I believe. And again, even like those letters, one of the companies they did not like, they were able to pull out. It was Telesteps because I called them out. It was a misleading advertising. So they advertise it. And that's how little people research they do. So they advertise the letters 18-foot ladder, even in description, and they changed it later after that video. And I did a video. I said, hey, extend and climb is better than Telesteps. It's 1 foot taller. It's more capacities, whatever. And people are arguing with me. No, it's 18 feet. I'm like, no, it says 18 feet reach. What does that mean? It's because they put it on the box, 18-foot ladder. It's a 14 and a half, and this one is 15 and a half. And at that time, nobody was making more than that. Now they have like 18 and a half you can find. But at that time, it was the tallest ladder you can buy on Amazon. It was cheaper. It was taller. It was heavier. But people were arguing with me. But because they were arguing, it's actually, and Telesteps were able to pull down. I guess I used one of their clips. So anyway, I redid it. Now they cannot do crap, but they will try. Leaf Filter, another company, like $1 billion company, they hate me. They actually try to go to a few people to just like, hey, can you influence him to take this video down? But if I don't like you, if I don't like your product, if I don't like how you sell it, I'm gonna call you out. I don't care if you won $1 billion. Like Leaf Filter was actually a very popular video, even for Storm Group and Roofing Insights. They prey on older people. Their average sale is at $8,000-$9,000. The product is okay, but the price is crazy. So what they do is like they go to trade shows and they'll make you finance. And I have people reaching out to me. So after I made a video, called them out, say this. I have 3 salespeople who used to work for them. It's a hard pressure. They'll finance the whatever. I mean, your 80-year-old mom does not need $8,000 gutter cover, right? And I have a caregivers reaching out to me. Is like, Dmitry, here's what happened. We see, my parents or like person they care like bought this crap.
Yep.
I mean, what the heck? So I called it out, and I even made the title: Leaf Filter is preying on older people. Beware, or beware, protect your elders. Like, it's not okay with me. Like, if I would find out that my mom, did something, I would be pissed.
Yeah.
But it was someone else's mom. So I called them out, and they did not like it.
Okay, so tell me something real quick. Where can everybody find you on social media, everywhere? If people wanted to get in touch with you, where all could they find you?
Dmitry Lipinski, all over social media. I do have a website, dmitrylipinski.com. You can book a call with me there or see all my brands. Social media, Instagram, Roofing Insights, YouTube channel is the biggest media that we have. But of course, I have my personal pages and everywhere.
You were talking a while ago about getting recognized. I remember when I came and spoke at your conference, I took my videographer that I had meet me there, took him out. I needed to get a clicker for my presentation. So we went over to an Office Max or whatever, and there was this big lit up restaurant out in the parking lot. And at first I thought it looked cool, and I looked at it and it's like Korean barbecue or something. I'm like, well, maybe not while I'm out of town. And I normally don't go eat at chain restaurants. And he's pointing, he said, well, there's a Morton's over there. I said, well, there's Morton's in Dallas. I can eat there. And he's like, well, I'm from Baton Rouge. There ain't no, or Lafayette. He says, I'm from Lafayette. There ain't no Morton's there. I said, okay, let's go to Morton's. So we're sitting at the bar, we're eating, and this guy walks in front of me in a big suit, and he's sitting there, and it's during COVID, so he's got a mask on. I'm sitting there looking at him because he just stopped right in front of me. He said, you helped me fix my toilet, didn't you? And I kind of laughed. I said, this possible? Well, the bartender who'd been waiting on us all night long heard him, and she walks in. She's like, oh my God, you're the guy that helped me fix my garbage disposal. And I started laughing. I said, okay, it could be. Well, he went outside to smoke. I paid the tab and everything and went walking out the store, and they had outside tables. And as soon as I walked out, there's a couple there, and she points up. She says, see, I told you that was him. That's 3 times getting recognized in one restaurant in Orlando.
I was in Lifetime Fitness this morning, and I'm changing. So I'm like in the last square, like I'm going to hit the sauna, and I'm in the last square, and this guy turns around. You're the guy. You're Dmitry. So he is a contractor, engineer, contractor, not even in the roofing space. It's like, I watch your videos, man. It was like, nice to meet you. He was about to go to swim, like this morning. I get it everywhere.
Yeah, me too. I love it. It is so good.
It never gets old.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And I've had people
you can't get used to it.
I've had people in that it bothers them.
Yeah.
And people are like, hey, can I take a picture of me? I'm like, absolutely.
Absolutely.
I love it.
It takes 2 seconds.
You've helped people change their lives. The first day you walked out of your house to go do your trades job, cabinet making at the time, if you could go back now, knowing everything you know now, and stop little Dmitry as he's coming out the front door and say, okay, look, what advice would you give him before going to work in the trades that first day?
I love my journey so much. I love every job that I ever have. I met one person who outworked me over the years. We were doing insulation in Atlanta, and this guy, he looked like Floyd Mayweather. He was black, skinny, and he was hustling like crazy. And I always wanted to outwork everyone. And the job was, we were splitting tickets, so we're getting paid by amount of bags we did. And I told him, I said, you're faster than me, but I want to split ticket 50-50. So when you're ahead of me, just go, he was smoking, go take a break and I'll catch up. And he told me later, he said that, Dmitry, I never split tickets with anyone. I've been doing it 12 years. You were the first person. He was faster than me, but he never split a ticket. He's like, you were the first person who actually could somewhat like 90% match me. But my advice would be, learn how to sell yourself. Like, it's not how much you're worth, it's how much you can get for what you're worth. Like, I was maybe too cheap for too long. My first job, it was a siding job, $10, then cabinet job, $12 an hour. And I was okay with that at that time. But looking back, I knew I could get $20. We can get more for our service faster. So it doesn't have to take as long as we think. And, I remember I was in a cabinet shop and I worked there for 1 year. And at the end, I was getting married. I came to the owner. I said, what's my future here? Like, what can I expect in the next 5 years? And he told me that he can give me 75 cents raise every 6 months. So it's $1. So pretty much in 5 years, I would be making $25. And I was at $13.75 at the time. And so I started 13 and then 75 and then 14.50, right? And I did math. I got there within a year. So I quit. I gave him 2 weeks notice. Said I can't do it. And within 2 years, I was making $25 an hour. And I was Monday through Thursday and Friday, Saturday, I was doing side jobs. So my advice to myself would be work hard. And I always work hard, but know your price and ask for more. Don't sell yourself too cheap. It's not what you think you're worth. It's how much you can. Like, I see people all the time who are too cheap. They work hard, but you look at them and like, you realize you could be making more. If you find out how much people make, I've recruited people from everywhere. In my business, I recruited people from Menards. I remember like seeing the guy who was there stocking shelves at 5 a.m. I'm like, dude. And then Googling how much they make, $45,000 a year. I can pay you $80. Mm-hmm. Let's go. So like, I sold myself too cheap for too long. I mean, I was making first year in 2000, after I get married in 2017, it's $18,000-$20,000 a year. Then second year, $30,000 a year.
You bet.
I was the hardest worker you could find. So my advice would be sell yourself a little bit more, even if you're just hourly worker. Know your price. I mean, still work hard, but know your price.
I love that. All right. Thanks, Dmitry.
Thank you, sir.